Hi there, friend. I'm so glad you're here today. If you're watching this video, chances are you've noticed some changes as you've gotten older. Maybe your memory isn't quite what it used to be, or perhaps you find yourself forgetting names or where you put your keys more often than you'd like. You're not alone. In fact, that's exactly why I wanted to sit down and talk with you today. Now, I know we hear a lot about staying physically active as we age, and trust me, that's important. But what about our brains? How often do we think about keeping our minds sharp? It turns out, just like our bodies, our brains need regular exercise too. And the good news is, you don't need hours of complicated puzzles or expensive brain training apps. All it takes is a few minutes each day. Yes, just 10 minutes. To give your mind the workout it needs. I'll bet you're thinking, 10 minutes? That doesn't sound like much. And you're right, it isn't. But those 10 minutes can make all the difference in how you feel, how clearly you think, and how confidently you move through your days. Whether you want to remember your grandkids' birthdays without having to check your phone, keep up with conversations at family dinners, or simply enjoy life without worrying about forgetfulness, these exercises are for you. Over the next few moments together, we're going to explore 5 simple but powerful brain exercises you can start doing today. No special equipment needed. No gym membership required. Just a little bit of time, a willingness to try something new, and maybe a cup of tea or coffee by your side. Sound good? Let's start with the very first one. Now, before I share it with you, I want you to take a deep breath in and slowly let it out. That's it. Feels good, doesn't it? Sometimes the most powerful tools we have are already within us. We just need to remember how to use them. The first brain exercise I want to talk about might surprise you. Mindful breathing. Yes, that's right. Something as simple as taking a few slow, focused breaths can actually stimulate your brain in ways you might not expect. You see, when we breathe deeply and intentionally, we increase the flow of oxygen to the brain. That helps sharpen focus, reduce stress, and even improve memory over time. Now, I know what you're thinking, how does something so simple count as a brain exercise? Well, here's the thing. When we practice mindful breathing regularly, we're training our brains to stay present, to quiet the mental chatter, and to respond rather than react to life's little challenges. It's like giving your brain a gentle stretch first thing in the morning. Here's how you can get started. Set a timer for 2 minutes. Yes, just 2, and sit comfortably in a chair or on your couch. Close your eyes if you like, or just soften your gaze. Then, inhale slowly through your nose for a count of 4, hold that breath for a moment, and exhale gently through your mouth for a count of 6. Repeat this cycle for the full 2 minutes. You might notice that your thoughts wander. That's completely normal. When they do, just gently bring your attention back to your breath without judgment. Think of it like lifting a light weight for your brain. At first, it may feel a little awkward or uncomfortable, but over time you'll start to notice how much calmer and clearer you feel after just a couple of minutes each day. And here's the best part, you can do this anywhere. In bed before you get up, while waiting for your coffee to brew, or even during a commercial break while watching your favorite show. It's such a small habit, but it can have a big impact on your mental clarity and emotional well-being. Now, once you've got that under your belt, let's move on to the second brain exercise. Reading aloud. I know, this sounds almost too easy. But hear me out. Reading out loud engages different parts of your brain than silent reading does. It activates areas related to speech, hearing, and comprehension, which means you're getting a multi-sensory workout every time you do it. So here's what I suggest. Pick up a book, magazine, or even the newspaper, whatever interests you. Then read a short passage out loud. Don't rush through it. Instead, take your time pronouncing each word clearly and listening to the rhythm of the sentences. As you do this, you'll not only improve your vocabulary and language skills, but you'll also strengthen the connections between the different regions of your brain. If you really want to make it fun, try reading poetry or something with rhyme and meter. Shakespeare, Dr. Seuss, Maya Angelou. These kinds of texts challenge your brain in a playful way and can even lift your mood. Plus, if you have a pet or live with someone, they might enjoy the company of your voice too. What's great about this activity is that it can easily become a daily ritual. Maybe you read for 5 minutes after breakfast or wind down with a chapter before bed. Either way, you're giving your brain a workout, while also enjoying the pleasure of a good story or article. Now, as we wrap up these first two exercises, I hope you're starting to see a theme here. Many of the things that help keep our brains sharp are already woven into our everyday lives. They just require a little intention and consistency. And the beauty of that is, you don't have to overhaul your entire routine to see results. In fact, the next couple of exercises we'll cover follow that same principle. They're things you might already be doing, but with a slight twist to maximize the brain benefits. So, if you're feeling curious and ready to learn more, stick around, because we're just getting started. But before we dive into the third point, let me ask you, have you ever noticed how your mind feels after a stimulating conversation with a friend or loved one? There's something energizing about exchanging ideas, sharing stories, and really connecting with another person. Well, that's exactly where we're headed next. Let's talk about how meaningful social interaction can be one of the most powerful brain boosters of all. You know, as we get older, it's easy to fall into routines that feel safe. Maybe you find yourself spending more time alone, watching TV, or just quietly going about your day without much interaction. And while there's certainly nothing wrong with enjoying some peace and quiet, I want to share something important with you. Staying socially engaged isn't just good for the heart. It's great for the brain, too. That brings me to our third brain exercise, meaningful conversations. Yes, talking with others might seem like the most natural thing in the world, but when done intentionally, it can be one of the most powerful tools we have for keeping our minds sharp. Think about it. When you're engaged in a real conversation, you're listening, processing what's being said, forming a response, and often even reading body language. That's a full mental workout. Now, I'm not talking about small talk at the grocery store that has its place, of course, but rather deeper, thoughtful interactions. Maybe it's catching up with an old friend over coffee, having a heart-to-heart with a family member, or even joining a book club where you can discuss ideas and opinions. These kinds of exchanges stimulate parts of the brain responsible for memory, reasoning, and emotional intelligence. Let me give you an example. Imagine sitting down with a neighbor or a longtime friend and asking them a question like, "What was the best summer of your life, and why?" Suddenly, you're both diving into memories, recalling details, laughing, maybe even learning something new about each other. That kind of back and forth activates multiple areas of the brain and keeps those neural pathways strong. And here's the bonus: you don't need to be around people all the time to make this work. Even a phone call or a video chat counts. In fact, if you've ever had a long conversation with someone you care about after not speaking for a while, you probably walked away feeling not only emotionally uplifted, but mentally refreshed. That's your brain thanking you. So how do you make this part of your daily routine? Well, start small. Set a goal to have at least one meaningful conversation each day, even if it's just 10 minutes. Call a grandchild and ask them about their week. Chat with a neighbor about the weather and then go a little deeper. Or reach out to an old friend you haven't spoken to in a while. You'll be surprised how easy it is once you make it a habit. Now, moving right along, let's shift gears a bit and talk about another brain booster that might surprise you. Learning something new. I know. Some of you might be thinking, at my age, isn't it too late to learn new things? Let me tell you, nothing could be further from the truth. Our brains are incredibly adaptable, no matter our age. This concept is called neuroplasticity, which basically means that the brain can continue to grow and change throughout our lives. So whether it's picking up a new hobby, trying a new recipe, or even learning how to use a piece of technology, every time you challenge yourself to learn something unfamiliar, you're giving your brain a wonderful gift. Let me share a quick story. A few years ago, a dear friend of mine turned 75 and decided she wanted to learn how to play the piano. She hadn't touched a keyboard since she was a teenager, but she signed up for lessons anyway. At first, it was frustrating. Her fingers didn't move the way she wanted them to, and remembering notes wasn't easy. But slowly, week by week, she started to improve. And guess what? Not only did she end up playing beautiful music, but she also noticed her memory improved, and she felt more alert during the day. That's the power of learning something new. It forces your brain to create new connections, strengthens existing ones, and even boosts confidence. So what could you try? Maybe it's taking a painting class, learning a few words in another language, or finally figuring out how to edit photos on your phone. The key is to choose something that interests you, because when you enjoy what you're doing, it doesn't feel like work. And again, this doesn't have to take hours. Just dedicating 10 minutes a day to exploring something new can make a difference. Watch a short tutorial online, read a few pages of a beginner's guide, or practice a simple technique. Over time, those little moments add up, and before you know it, you'll have learned something truly valuable. So far, we've covered 4 brain exercises: mindful breathing, reading aloud, meaningful conversations, and learning something new. Each one is simple, yet powerful in its own way. And now, we come to the 5th and final one, a personal favorite because it's something many of us already do, but perhaps not quite in the way I'm about to suggest. This last brain exercise is none other than journaling. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Writing in a diary? That sounds like something kids do. But journaling is so much more than that. It's a tool for reflection, creativity, and yes, brain health. When you write by hand, you engage motor skills, coordination, and memory in ways typing doesn't always replicate. Plus, putting your thoughts on paper helps organize your mind, reduce stress, and even boost memory retention. Studies have shown that people who regularly write about their experiences tend to remember them more clearly later on. So how can you get started? All you need is a notebook and a pen. Set aside 5 to 10 minutes each day, maybe in the morning with your coffee or tea, or before bed as a way to unwind. Then, simply write about whatever comes to mind. It could be your thoughts about the day, a memory you want to preserve, a gratitude list, or even a letter to your younger self. Don't worry about grammar or spelling. This isn't for anyone else to read unless you want it to be. The goal is to get your thoughts flowing and your hand moving. If you're not sure what to write about, try prompts like, "What made me smile today?" or "What am I looking forward to tomorrow?" I remember one gentleman I met who kept a daily journal well into his 80s. He told me he wrote about everything: his worries, his hopes, funny things that happened, even recipes he tried. When I asked him why he kept doing it, he smiled and said, "It's like talking to myself, but better organized." And you know what? His mind stayed remarkably sharp year after year. So there you have it. The 5th and final brain exercise, journaling. It's a quiet, reflective practice, but one that can have a lasting impact on your cognitive health. Now, before we wrap up this part and head into our final segment, let me remind you, these exercises aren't meant to feel like chores. They're meant to feel like gifts you give yourself. Because staying sharp isn't about pushing yourself harder or chasing youth, it's about embracing each day with curiosity, connection, and joy. So if you've been following along, you've now got 5 practical, everyday ways to keep your brain active and engaged. And the best part? You can mix and match them depending on your mood, your schedule, and what feels right for you. In the next part, we'll take a moment to reflect on these 5 exercises together, and I'll share a few final thoughts to help you stay motivated and consistent. So if you're ready to bring it all together and leave with a renewed sense of purpose, stick around, we're almost there. Well, friend, here we are, our final stretch together. I hope you've enjoyed this little journey through some simple but powerful ways to keep your brain sharp as you age. You know, when I first started thinking about these exercises, I wanted to make sure they were things anyone could do, no matter where you live, what your schedule looks like, or how much experience you have with brain training. Because let's face it, life doesn't stop just because we hit a certain birthday. In fact, many people find that their 70s and beyond can be some of the most fulfilling years of all. And wouldn't it be wonderful to move through those years with a clear mind, a curious heart, and a sense of confidence in your own abilities? Let me take just a moment to recap what we've covered so far. Not in a boring list kind of way, but more like a gentle reminder of all the tools you now have in your toolbox. We started with mindful breathing, which might sound too simple to make a difference, but remember, it's not about complexity, it's about consistency. Taking just 2 minutes each day to slow down and focus on your breath can help reduce stress, improve oxygen flow to the brain, and set a positive tone for the rest of your day. Then came reading aloud, an activity that not only strengthens language skills but also engages multiple parts of the brain at once. Whether it's a poem, a favorite novel, or even the morning news, reading out loud helps reinforce memory and comprehension in a way silent reading just doesn't. Next, we talked about the power of meaningful conversations. Those deep, thoughtful interactions that go beyond, "How's the weather?" and into, "What's on your heart?" These kinds of exchanges keep your brain active by challenging you to listen, think, and respond thoughtfully. After that, we explored the idea of learning something new, whether it's a hobby, a skill, or even a new word each day. Learning keeps the brain flexible and adaptable, and best of all, it can be fun. It reminds us that curiosity isn't just for young people, it's a lifelong gift. And finally, we closed out our 5 brain exercises with journaling, a quiet but powerful practice that helps organize thoughts, reduce mental clutter, and even strengthen memory retention. Just a few minutes with a pen and paper can make a world of difference. Now, before we part ways, I want to leave you with something important: encouragement. Staying mentally sharp after 70 isn't about doing everything perfectly or trying to turn back time. It's about showing up for yourself each day in small but meaningful ways. It's about giving your brain the attention and care it deserves. Not because you have to, but because you want to. I know sometimes it's easy to feel like the changes that come with aging are all downhill. But they don't have to be. With just a few minutes each day, you can support your brain health in ways that will surprise you. And the best part? These habits don't just benefit your memory or focus. They can boost your mood, increase your confidence, and even improve your relationships. So if you're feeling inspired, why not start today? Maybe pick one of these exercises to try tomorrow morning. Or better yet, choose 2 and see how they fit into your routine. Remember, it's not about doing all 5 every day. It's about finding what works for you and making it a habit. And if you ever feel like you're slipping back into old patterns, don't worry. That happens to all of us. The key is to gently bring yourself back without judgment. Think of it like watering a plant. You don't water it once and expect it to thrive forever. You keep coming back, day after day, and slowly but surely, you'll see the results. I'd love to hear from you. If you try any of these exercises, I'd be honored if you'd share your experience in the comments below. Did one of them surprise you? Did you notice a change in your mood or clarity after a few days? Let's create a space where we can all learn from each other and encourage one another along the way. Also, if you found this video helpful, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. That way, you'll never miss out on future tips and ideas for living your best life at any age. Because this isn't the end, we're just getting started. As we wrap up today's conversation, I want to leave you with a simple but powerful message. You are capable, you are valuable, and you are never too old to grow, learn, and thrive. Whether you're 70, 80, or well beyond, there's still so much life left to enjoy, and your brain is ready to join you on that journey. So give yourself permission to slow down, breathe deeply, and embrace each day with joy and purpose. Here's to staying sharp, staying curious, and staying connected to your mind, your heart, and the beautiful life you've built. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Until next time, take care of yourself and remember, age is just a number. Your best days are still ahead.